Out of all the properties owned by Jeffrey Epstein, this 7,500-acre compound in Santa Fe County, New Mexico, holds a distinct status. It is the only major property in his portfolio that federal authorities never raided. The environment here is harsh. It is miles and miles of dirt and mountains, completely removed from any neighboring population. If someone was brought here against their will, they had nowhere to run. Survivor Shantae Davies, who was trafficked to the property beginning in 2001, described the experience as feeling like a mouse trapped in a cage. And the files show the abuse was highly systematic, involving both young women and multiple accounts of young men being drugged and assaulted. The geography of Zorro Ranch served a specific mechanical purpose. The extreme isolation was an architectural tool, utilized to ensure that no matter how loud a victim screamed, no one could hear them. The recently unredacted Epstein Files also reveal activities at the ranch that diverge from his other properties. Internal emails show Epstein was actively investing in plans to build a designer baby farm and a human cloning project on the grounds. Survivors reported waking up in dark rooms with female medical personnel standing over them. There are witness accounts detailing a concerted hunt for a perfect gene pool, alongside allegations of forced and coerced pregnancies. Which brings us to the central logistical question of this compound. How does a sprawling property harboring this level of criminality completely evade a physical search by federal law enforcement? When you review the severity of the allegations emerging from New Mexico, the lack of a federal raid points to a catastrophic failure to secure a massive crime scene. In early 2019, local authorities were making tangible progress. Former New Mexico Attorney General Hector Balderas and his team had begun actively interviewing survivors and were preparing to bring state-level charges. But their progress hit an immediate roadblock. The Department of Justice in New York contacted Balderas' office and issued a direct request for the state to stand down. The federal agents argued that parallel interviews conducted by local authorities could cause survivors to contradict themselves on the record, which they claimed would put the larger federal case at risk. Believing he was acting in the best legal interest of the victims, Balderas complied and handed the investigation over. By trusting the federal authorities, New Mexico officials unwittingly helped paralyze the only active investigation into the ranch. While the state authorities were standing down, the FBI received a specific tip from a former staffer. The 2019 email reads, "Did you know somewhere in the hills outside of the Zorro, 2 foreign girls were buried on orders of Jeffrey and Madam G. Both died by strangulation during rough fetish sex." The FBI logged this intelligence but deliberately kept the information entirely secret from the New Mexico officials they had agreed to co-prosecute with. Then, following Epstein's death in August 2019, the federal investigation into his operations in New Mexico simply stopped. Federal agencies executed high-profile physical raids on his Manhattan townhouse, his estate in Paris, and his private island. Zorro Ranch was ignored. Internal communications reveal that FBI agents inexplicably claimed they lacked probable cause to enter the New Mexico property. They left behind handwritten letters, computers, books, and potentially burial sites. By hoarding jurisdiction, withholding critical tips, and then walking away entirely, the federal bureaucracy effectively shielded the Zorro Ranch crime scene from the justice system. The release of the unredacted Epstein Files exposed the suppressed 2019 email to the public, alerting state officials and survivors to the buried bodies tip for the very first time. In response, New Mexico State Representative Andrea Romero helped form a dedicated truth commission. Their immediate priority is to finally execute the physical search that federal agencies refuse to conduct. Investigators have now captured detailed imaging of the entire 7,500-acre property. They are currently running a technical analysis on that data, scanning the topography for subterranean anomalies that could indicate grave sites. The Attorney General's office is operating with a clear mandate: use the newly available files to identify and prosecute any co-conspirators who operated within their borders. They intend to turn the Epstein Files into trials. For survivors like Shantae Davies, the years of jurisdictional infighting carried a severe human cost. While federal agencies stalled, the victims were left waiting for accountability that never arrived. The federal government may have abandoned the investigation, but local authorities have taken it back. The physical evidence hidden in the New Mexico desert will no longer be protected by a jurisdictional boundary.